we wanted to do in this paper is to interrogate the capacity that freelancing of freelancers, online freelancers, providing their services to the platform, whether they have the capacity to build bargaining power while they are providing these services. And we do it by, of course, considering the fact that the platform economy opens up with this kind of triangular relationship or triadic relationship, where in fact platform they try to facilitate transactions between freelancers and clients. Now this is very important. Now we know that in Europe we do have, well at that time we had, when we were writing the paper, we had already the European Directive on Digital Platform Work, which as the law or tries to attribute social rights to these workers. But particularly very important, I think, to mention here, and by the time we were writing this paper, it was not still there, the communication of the European Commission on attributing collective bargaining power to freelancers as a part of these competition law activities and so forth. Now, again, as I said, platforms are these multi-side markets. This is how they've been defined within this triadic relationship. But this triadic relationship, as we know, is very contested. And it's contested why? Because platform tends to, in fact, reduce bargaining power for freelancers in the sense that they organize the transaction between freelancers and clients by intensifying transnational competition and therefore pushing down the rates that freelancers are able to exercise by the time that they in fact set their own rates, prices on the platform. And also very important here to mention is the fact that platform, they tend to constrain the development and transferability of portfolios. That is very important and crucial for freelancers to be able then to go up and down, to move. Not only within the platform, but also outside the platform. And there is a bunch of research which has been done, also including online labor market, which points to this exact element of the portfolio, in the sense that this literature argues the importance for freelancers to developing portfolio, because this is the way how then they can better reach out clients and establish long-term relationship with them. And this can help them in setting also prices and improving their own conditions vis-a-vis, in fact, clients themselves. Now, this is very important. This is at the core of our paper. We really look at this portfolio building, and we wanted to understand whether and how, the conditions under which platforms can facilitate this kind of building of portfolio. Now, we think this is very important, perhaps innovative. I don't know what you think about. For us, it is innovative in the sense that if we look at the literature on digital platforms, particularly on online freelancing, and not only, we see that industrial relations scholars, when they look at power and agency on digital platform, they tend to look only at this dyadic relationship. In other words, they look at how, for example, workers can gain bargaining power vis-a-vis the platforms, or how these workers can gain bargaining power vis-a-vis the clients. But they don't consider the triangular relationship where this power can be built upon. So how platform can facilitate, if any, and under what kind of conditions, this kind of capacity of freelancing to build portfolio. So that's why we are, kind of moving in the paper, trying to delineate a kind of alternative perspective to look at how bargaining power can be theorized and can be conceived on digital platforms by moving beyond this kind of dichotomous approach, and positing the understanding of bargaining power within this triadic relationship. And as I said before, very important for us is to look at this relationship with portfolio building via the platform and the relationship with the clients. Now, how do we build in terms of theories here? Well, again, we have been very much influenced by the work done by Paul Edwards, Jacques Bélanger, and others, who have been, in fact, theorizing not on platform work, but on traditional, employment relationship and industrial relationship. They've been theorizing the fact that cooperation and conflict can work together. They are not opposite one another, or they are not the either or. They are sometimes, in most of the cases, together. And they build this kind of understanding on the notion of concerns, which we take into account in the theorization that we do, to study, in fact, the interests and choices by the agency, freelancers in our case, through strategic action. And when, the kind of theorization that Belanger and Edwards and colleagues, they raise is about, these kind of concerns can be control concerns, developmental concerns, where relationship of conflict and cooperation, they are taken into account. And this is very much also, if you like, in line with industrial relations strategic and negotiation theory, which keeps centrality on the notion of the bargaining power being as relational. Power is relational. And therefore, they have to be looked in relation with the actors who are part of this relation, in our case, platform, freelancers, and clients. And therefore, also we do know that this power doesn't come like this. I mean, is contested and context needs to be contextualized. Therefore, we need to look at the boundary conditions here. And we look particularly in our paper as independent variable at two important conditions. One is the organizational context, which is the platform context, facilitating, in fact, this bargaining power. Particularly, we look and operationalize it through the matching, how the platform match freelancers with clients, and also whether they use algorithm-based ratings and performance measurement or not. And also, we go a bit broader than that. We are challenged by the product market context, which in industrial relations literature has been also, pointing to the relevance that product markets they have for constructing bargaining powers for the actors. And here, particularly, in the way in which then, as Karol will address, we have been doing our sampling of platform. We look at both, platform engaged in, products which are much more differentiated, and they are in fact served in differentiated market, and products which are more standardized, and where in fact, the level of bargaining power is and is expected to be different. Now, these are the research questions, therefore, is how do the organization and product market boundary conditions explain the bargaining power of online freelancers? So the capacity that freelancers they have to set the prices by, in fact, intersecting with the platform capacity to help them in developing their own portfolio in the context of organizational and product market. And very quickly, and Karol will go much more on that, we build 4 scenarios which we try to test, depending on the high or low level of developmental concerns and the high or low level of control concerns. And these are, in fact, the kind of scenario. What I can tell you is that what we see here particularly is, and that's what we hypothesize and we see it confirmed, is that developmental concerns do matter a lot. In other words, whether the platform engages in building portfolio, supporting the building of portfolio for freelancers, in fact, is very important for determining the capacity or shaping the capacity of freelancers to build bargaining power independently, and this was quite a surprise for us, from the control activities that platforms they set in place. So it seems that, the engaging in developing portfolio has a much more importance than control. And also, when we go and look at within high developmental concerns, and this is the same for low developmental concerns, and this is subordinated cooperation, autonomous cooperation, we see here freelancers gaining bargaining power, and we see this happening within both product market, where we see simple or complex tasks, but this really depends very much on the control of the platform. So the importance of control is much more prevalent when we look inside the high and automatically within the inside the low developmental concern. And I give over to Karol. Karol, I will move the slides.
Yeah. So you can move the slide. Okay, so as Valeria has explained, we have sampled along the platform organizational configuration, so the type of matching in which the platform engages, and also whether platform uses algorithm-based performance measurement or not. And we also sampled across the product market, meaning we have selected IT freelancers and graphic designers working in differentiated markets, conducting, sort of providing complex tasks, and also translators and copywriters working in standardized markets, providing simple tasks. So we conducted 63 interviews across 4 different platforms that we have selected accordingly to our propositions across 5 countries in the EU. And as for data analysis, we used adaptive approach. Next slide, please. So as for findings, and I will try to be very quick. So under cooperation, so in this scenario, when there are developmental concerns between platform and freelancers, we see that freelancers can in fact develop portfolios and gain capacity to set and improve the prices by establishing long-term and stable relationships with clients. And this happens while being supported by a platform with the provision of training and learning skills. That's a case of French platform Mold, or being tailored offers from clients on a regular basis. And that's the case of Dutch platform Yellow. And how does it work in practice from the platform point of view? Well, it relates basically to platform's business model. So the French platform Mold, it makes money by taking a fee from successfully completed tasks. And as a result, it is incentivized to, in fact, invest in portfolio building for freelancers in order for freelancers to get permanent clients so that the platform can make money. In case of a Dutch platform Yellow, this comes down to the fact that a platform makes money by charging clients and not freelancers. So clients pay subscription fees. And as a result, the platform needs to present high level of utility for these clients. And as a result, it provides clients with very specific offers from freelancers. And from the side of freelancers, it means that the clients are really interested in their work. So a platform basically in this way supports freelancers in portfolio building. Next slide, please. So in this scenario of exploitation, so when there are low developmental concerns, we see that freelancers, in fact, experience difficulties in developing portfolio to establish and improve rates because of the price-based competition that is incentivized by platforms, as platforms are fostering bidding among freelancers as a way of making revenues. So platform does not invest in portfolio building and makes money in a different way. So we see it on the example of Upwork. So the platform makes money by collecting a fee from transactions, but also by forcing freelancers to buy in platform currency to bid. And as a result, platform incentivizes this price-based competition, and we see that freelancers struggle with improving their prices. Here, there's an important element of the algorithmic-based performance measurement, which is pretty famous on Upwork, and we see that the way in which freelancers can improve their price setting capacity is through improving in platform reputation, but they are constantly struggling with price-based competition. In case of Italian platform Adlens, again, the platform makes money by forcing freelancers to buy in-platform currency to bid, while not supporting them in portfolio building, and this makes price competition pretty harsh for freelancers, basically leaving them the price determination to bidding in tasks. Next slide, please.
Yeah, five last minutes. I don't know.
So as it goes for the effect of product markets, we see that freelancers providing complex tasks within differentiated product markets, so IT freelancers and graphic designers, so this scenario of autonomy can gain relatively higher bargaining power over clients in comparison to those providing simple tasks within standardized markets, just translation and copywriting. So in our case, this scenario of subordination. But we also see a mediating effect of algorithmic-based performance measurement and platforms' engagement in freelancer career and portfolio development. And just to be very quick, there are different sort of impacts here of both product market, but also mediating impact of algorithmic-based performance measurement and portfolio building. Here, what we see as particularly interesting is something that we call arbitrage. That was actually on the previous slide. So the capacity of freelancers in performing differentiated tasks in like complex tasks in differentiated services to bypass control from the platform by going outside the platform. So this is the case of freelancers on Mold and Upwork. Basically, freelancers are taking their permanent relationships outside the platform to regain control. Next slide. And next slide. So we sum up by conceptualizing 4 types of bargaining power. So the first scenario is autonomous cooperation, where we have investment in portfolio and differentiated markets, where freelancers are in fact being matched, for instance, as in case of Yellow, being matched with highly specific offers that allow them to improve portfolios. and improve prices as well. On the opposite side, we see the scenario of subordinated exploitation. So there's no investment in portfolio from the side of freelancers, and freelancers are in standardized market. This is the case for instance, translators on Headlands, where they always need to compete and struggle with improving prices as they struggle also to improve portfolios. Next scenario is the scenario of subordinated cooperation. So we have investment in portfolio in standardized market, and here this is the example of, for instance, translators on French platform Mold, where they can improve prices, but their capacity to improve prices is directly linked to basically in-platform portfolio building, which platform supports, but that basically limits the price setting capacity. And finally, the last scenario is the scenario of autonomous exploitation. There's no investment in portfolio building, but there is differentiated market where the example being, for instance, IT freelancers on Upwork, which they can improve prices if they basically go outside the platform, so they engage in this arbitrage. Next slide, please.
Yeah, your time is out. Yes.
Yeah. So I would just say 2 words. We see that freelancers' bargaining power is enhanced when platforms manifest high developmental concerns in comparison to when they manifest low developmental concerns. According to our propositions, freelancers operating in differentiated sectors retain more bargaining power in comparison to those within standardized markets. And maybe just the last thing that I will say is that what we kind of try to put forward in the paper is that our findings point out to the fact that we shouldn't treat platform economy as one sector, because we actually see that different types of organizational contexts impact on freelancers differently depending on the level of competition in a sector. So we basically try to kind of point out to this idea, this treating platform economy as one sector is basically misleading a little bit. Okay, and that's it. Thank you.